Okay, so the last video showed the comparison method for finding interesting data points in your save states. And this video is going to be a bit more of the same. It's going to go into a little bit more detail and give some more examples of the good places to use that method, the comparison method, for finding interesting places. It's probably worth watching if you want to gain a bit more information on the comparison method and see different ways of using it. But if you're already pretty familiar with it, you can maybe skip this one. It's up to you. It's hopefully going to end up a pretty short video. Okay, so we're going to have a look at Mega-Bomberman, which is an old favourite of mine. A good single player and a good multiplayer game, a great multiplayer game even. There's been many incarnations of this game on the different consoles over the year. But what we're going to use this for is a simple example of how to find and edit the amount of lives you have. This game, it's not that hard to be honest. You more get careless with it, I think, and that's how you tend to lose your lives. So what we're going to do is we are going to quickly save the game just before we have died. And what I'm trying to do here is minimize the amount of differences there are in the two saves. So I'll just nip into my ROMs, Mega-Bomberman, and I'll save that as mb.gso. So that's going to be my first save file where I have 3 lives. And now it occurred to me that I can't really create a save there because the amount of lives probably hasn't saved. So what I'll do is I'll let it start up again. You can see I've got 2 lives now, and I'll create my other save here in the same directory. So really simple. If you watched the last video, you know all we're going to do is open those 2 files up in HXD, which is my hex editor of choice, run the comparison method, and check where we have the value of 3 in one of the files and 2 in the other one. So let's just get them opened up, a quick drag and drop. And there we go. And now I will nip on to analysis, compare, and there we go. Now notice here that the GSO file has opened in the bottom window and the GS1 file in the top. This means I'm looking for a 3 at the bottom with a 2 at the top. It's important to remember this. You know, if you don't notice this, then you can be looking at the wrong values completely and you won't know why, and then you'll kick yourself when you finally realize. Alright, let's fast forward this video up until the point where I find the actual data value. Okay, and here we are. Now if I haven't fast forwarded this would have been 4 minutes real time. That's how long it took. Like I say, you get faster at this the more you do it. Something I didn't note in the last video is that it's important to write down where it is in the file that you're changing. So this is the offset B9BB. You can see it just in the bottom left there. And this is because if you make a change and then you cannot load your file back in, you want to know where you made that change. So you can change it back without having to go and resave in that. So it's an important thing to do. Okay, you can see here that I made the change. I set it to be 9 lives. I've loaded the game back in, but it's still sitting at 2. Now, something that's important to remember is it might be the actual amount of lives have changed, but the graphics haven't updated to reflect it. There we go, exactly. It's changed to 9 now. Maybe you missed that. Sometimes the graphics will be rendered beforehand, and because they don't change at normal points in game, they won't be reflected when you change the value in the background. What I'll do is I'll load this back in just so you can see. There we go. So you can see it's showing 2 lives, but in reality the 9 has taken effect. If I kill myself, there you go, the lives is updated and it reflects the true value. You'll sometimes find this, so it's important to make sure you go to a part in the game that will cause the value you've changed to actually change in game. Alright, let's move on to another game. Okay, this time we're going to have a look at MagLemania. Now this has to be one of my favourite games of all time. I spent so many hours playing away at this. I think I've completed it, playing honestly from the start, no cheating or anything like that. But it's been a while, I can't really remember. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a little save just at this point where we have 100 guys that we can use on this level. If you haven't played this game before, basically what you do is you add the amount of men you want to start with on each level. You have 100 that you can use from the start of the game, and you need to be sort of conservative with it. You can't just use them all, otherwise you won't have any for the next level. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add 3 guys into it, which leaves me 97 to work with. So you can see there I've already got a difference between the two files. I've got 100 guys left in the first one, 97 in the second one, and that gives me my difference in values to search for using the comparison method. And so that's exactly what I'm away to do. The usual, open up both files inside HXD, jump into the compare, and do the comparison. GSO is open at the top, so we're looking for 100 at the top, and we're looking for 97 at the bottom. But we need to remember that these values are decimal values, and that's not the values that we're actually looking for. We're looking for the hexadecimal representation of these values. So we need to find that, and the easiest way I've found to do it is pop the decimal number into the Windows calculator, flick over to hex, and there's your hex value. So we are looking for 64 in the top and 3 less, which is 61 in the bottom. So quick fast forward. Oh, I don't even need to fast forward. Here's the value. 64 in the top, 61 in the bottom. So always do this. Always take note of the offset, which is 36FF. And then go on and make your change. Now, I know for a fact that you can have more than 255 guys. So I'm going to change the value just to the left of the one I've just found, and that should increase my amount of guys quite a lot. So let me load in that save again. Oh, I've got multiple gens opened. I'll close one, and let's load in that save. Which file was it? GS1 was it? Oh no, it was GSO, but it looks like my ROM has crashed anyway. Let's try loading that in. Oh no, his gens has crashed. Okay, 2 seconds guys, technical hitch. Just open up a new one. Never mind. Okay, let's load in the ROM again. And let's load in the GSO file. Load. Mega Drive, ROMs, MagLemania, GSO, or is it GS1? I can't remember. No, GSO. Load. Oh, okay. So this is an example of where the first value we found isn't the correct one. I'm just going to change the figures to make sure it hasn't worked and it's not just the graphics that needed updated, but no. So there you go. That value there is not the value that we were looking for. It's just a coincidence that it has the same values. We'll search for the next one. So here it is. Let's update our notepad to reflect that we're now at a different point, and I'm still going to change the value just to the left because I'm sure that 2 bytes will be used to store this figure. Alright, and let's load in again. GSO, and there we go, 356. So you can see that's definitely the value that we were meant to be looking for. So I can now add heaps of guys to this first level, and that will allow me to kick some ass really quick. Now, you don't need to use these values obviously to make the game easier. You can make the game harder if you want. You could decrease it so that you only have, say, 50 guys to start with, and that would add extra challenge to the game. Majority of the time though, I think you're going to be using this to make it easier, but it's entirely up to yourself. Use at your discretion. Pow! Ah, such a satisfying explosion sound that. That's me, President of Aloha. Alright, next game. Okay, this time we're going to have a look at ToeJam Enero. Now this is another favourite game of mine. I mean, it's not surprising. It's always the favourite games from your childhood that you look at when you're doing this sort of thing. I don't understand why you'd want to hack a game that you don't enjoy or that. This game's got a lot going on. There's so many things that you could use the comparison method to find out. One of the early ones that I done was finding out where the presents are stored so that you can give yourself whatever presents you want. So let's go on and do this. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a save here where I have 4 instances of the bonus high tops present. and then I will go on and use one of them up and create another save. So let's use one of them, jamming. So okay, I've only got 3 of them now. So let's create a save of that, and we'll call it GS1, and then open them both up inside HXD. Now, there's a slight difference here where we're not looking for just a difference in number. We're not looking for, you know, from something to go down from 3 to 4. No, go down from 4 to 3 even. What we're going to be looking for here is a bit of information that is missing from one place but is available in another. And it's going to take a lot of trial and error to get this figure. And it did. It took a fair while. I already know where it is because I've done this a while back. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip to the point, but basically it's just trial and error until you find it. As you get better at it, as you do this more, it will become more and more obvious. But here it is at this point here. You can see we've got 4 things of 1B at the top here, and only 3 things of 1B here. The last one is FF. This is telling me that there is a difference between these 2 files, where this one has 4, this one has 3 of something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to change this one back over to 1B, and I'm going to load it back in. So this is GS1 file. This is the second file that I created, the one after using the bonus high tops. So let's go on and load that save back in. And let's check my presents. There we go, 4 bonus high tops again. And you can see I've still got the one that I opened before. Superb. So there you go, that's us definitely got the right point. Lots of trial and error in that, I'm afraid. It can take a wee while to find out. Let's try playing about. We saw that FF is what the value changes to when we don't have a present in that slot. So let's add in another couple of 1Bs to the end, and let's see what effect that has on the game. Brilliant, we now have 6 bonus high tops. Superb. We can also try adding in other values. Let's try a 1C and a 1A, so that's 1 above and 1 below the other value that we had, and let's see what effect that has. So we have our 6 bonus high tops, we have something that's unmarked, that's a bit of a glitch, that one, and you can see it doesn't have a name, so I would be reluctant to use that. I have anyway, and the game sort of flipped out a bit. It's changed one of my other presents to something else, and the other one was, I don't know what it was an unmarked present. There's no real way of knowing what it is. So this would make me think that the value 1B is the highest value that you can safely use. 1C didn't really work. Now let's try something else. Let's try changing a lot of the values to just different values. Let's start at 1 and go all the way up to C and see what effect that has. There we go. Lots of different presents. All still unnamed though, so there's no way of knowing what's what. You know, I can't tell what anything is. So let's actually try something. I know that once you use a present, it will become identified from then on until you hit a randomizer. So let's use up some of these presents, and then let's have a look at what happens to this bit of data here. Because, like I say, I've worked on this game before, I already know what's going to happen, but let's see how we could use the comparison method to identify the presents. So I've used up a few of the presents. I'm creating a little save. I'm actually going to create a third save, so I'll call this one GS2. And now what I want to do is I want to compare that one to the one I had just before I used those presents. So let's open both of them up, GS1 and GS2, into HXD, and do the comparison. Now, when you're doing these comparisons, you can fairly safely assume that all the related data, so all the data that relates to the presents, is going to be kept in a pretty close proximity. So let's jump back to that spot where the presents were stored. And now, if I was looking at this for the first time, that would be the first place I'd look around, because you can rule out a lot of extra information by just jumping straight to the place and seeing what differences are already around there. So, quick fast forward. Okay, so we can see that the values have moved. That one reads 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, C. And the one below goes 4, 5, 6, 7, C. Yep. Look at these bits of data here though. This is the ones that we're interested in. Notice that it reads 0500, then down onto the next line 0400, but yet here it reads 0401. So see, there's a difference in there? Now that I would think is particularly interesting, and the next one's the same actually, it goes 0001 as opposed to 0000. So what I'm going to try and do is change all of these to read their number followed by 01, because I see when I open a present this bit here is changing, and that might be an indication of something. So I'll just nip through and I'll change them all up until the inventory. You know, the bit where we've already decided the presents are stored. Let's save that and let's load it back in. So this is GS1. Alright, here we are. And there we go, all our presents are identified for us. No more randomizers for me, thank you very much. And there you go, that's some different methods you can use for the comparison method. Different reasons to use it. Pretty useful method, I think. Find a lot of stuff using that method. As is fairly standard, this video has turned out a lot longer than I planned it to be, but hopefully if you're watching this, you were looking for the extra detail anyway, so you appreciate it. As always, check out my website, mybrogamesite.com, and look at all the sites that I link to as well. Lots of useful information on all these sites. Thank you.